Hello everyone, it's Jennifer and thank you for joining me today. I recently made a bracelet using some of the 5mm Czech glass rounds from Potomac Beads, and this is part of their Petal palette treasure box for the month of August. So we used some of the 5mm rounds. We also used some of the light tanzanite 2mm round beads, as well as some 11OC beads. And after I made this, I thought, you know, I'm gonna stick with what I did last month. Last month I made a necklace, bracelet, and a pair of earrings, and I wanna do the same. And I seem to just kind of be doing maybe the same pattern, but just different beads. And so I promise my next set of, the next bracelet that I'm planning on making is going to be a little bit different. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna follow the same pattern, sort of. So instead of doing the seed bead, 2mm seed bead, 5mm, and then going back and forth, I am going to actually be doing the 5 seed beads, a 5mm, 5 seed beads, and then 2. I started out with doing just the 1, and then when I started doing the 2, I thought, you know what, that looks kind of cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish off this other side using the same pattern here. And I'm using some soft flex beading wire. And so I'm going to be using the same type of lobster clasp and closed link for the for it to connect to. And then we're also going to use some wire guardians because we want to protect our wire. Plus, if this ends up being a gift, you don't know how that person is going to be wearing it, so you want to be able to protect it. If you keep it for yourself, you want it to last forever, right? We're going to use some 2x2 crimp tubes, and also too, I have an open jump ring so that I can attach my lobster clasp. I do not attach lobster clasp, and if I have in the past, it might have just been for sizing, but I do not typically attach the lobster clasp directly to the wire, just because if the lobster clasp starts to malfunction, then, I mean, I can get the lobster clasp off, but then I'm going to end up having to use a jump ring anyways. So might as well just do all the sizing with all of that in mind. So I do know that I want about 16 inches, and I believe this is somewhere around, this is at 12 inches. And when I did that, let's see, the extra that I'm going to do is about 1.5 inches. So that's going to be about 13 and a half. So you know what? Maybe I might do another full set. I will do another full set here. And then over on this side, when I take it, when I finish off this, after I finish off this end and jump over to this side, then I will be able to add all of the extras too. So I am gonna do one more set just to be safe. I don't want it to be a long necklace at all, but I also don't want it to be like a true choker. I want it to kind of hang down a little bit, just because I know that some people have choker necklaces already, and I want this to be able to accessorize the choker. Does that make sense? So I am going, again, I'm going to add, I need to add a bead here, right? And then I'm going to need to add another bead here, and then I'm going to do another 1, 2, 3. So I need another set, and this will help me with determining so that I know how many I need to put on here, so I don't lose count. Okay, so we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4. We have that and that. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's correct. Okay, so let's go. Oh, there we go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and pick up our crimp tube. You're gonna need some standard crimp pliers, or even some magical crimpers. I'm just gonna go ahead and use the standard crimping tool. Then go ahead and pick up your wire guardian. I love wire guardians. If you haven't seen wire guardians before or haven't used them, I highly encourage it, just because it is just an incredible little piece that's very inexpensive, but can save, if you're selling jewelry, it can really save, it can save a lot of money in the long run. And so it looks like a couple of crimp tubes on two ends, and then looks like a little horseshoe, and there's a little groove in there. So the wire goes inside the little groove. And you can use this, I've used this on, with beading wire, and you can thread through multiple times too, especially with something as thin as like Fireline beading cord. All right, so let's go ahead, and since these, oh, I want to attach. So here I am sitting here talking. I'm gonna go ahead and attach my end there. And I do know that you do want to make sure that it fits through your wire guardian. I just know it because I just used it on a bracelet, but I should have still done it as a habit practice, and I usually normally do. But you want to make sure that it has movement. Now, there's a little bit of gap. So there's a little bit of gap between, there's some wire here. Well, I don't want this to come and sit on this wire and then start rubbing against it. So I'm going to come with the very top part of the crimping pliers and just give it a squeeze, and it pulls it together. Now I don't have to worry about the this little connector rubbing up against the wire. All right, so now I'm gonna have my two wires separated here. I gotta get it in the well, there we go. So I have my two wires separated there. And now I wanna just give it a little bit of a squeeze. And what that does is it forms like a little crescent moon, little banana. And one wire goes on one side and the other wire goes on the other. You come in with that top piece, flip it over on its side, and then give it another squeeze, and then now you have this gorgeous little closure. Give it the tug test, just stick your fingernail in there and pull as hard as you can. And I sometimes do it multiple times, especially if it's gonna be a gift or if you're selling it. 9 times out of 10, mine are gifts. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and trim off that, that beading wire. I'm gonna keep it off to the side because I like to show off the waist. All right, so I know that I have extra beads to put on, so I'm not gonna just cut off right here because then I'm not gonna have enough. So I'm gonna come out just maybe 4 inches or so, and it's probably a little bit much. I'm probably gonna have quite a bit of waist, but I'd rather have a little bit of waist than having to redo the whole thing again. Okay, so now I didn't have to take one of those off, so I'm gonna go ahead and thread on the 2. Oh, and did I mention that we're gonna make a pair of earrings too? I don't know if I mentioned that. Okay, so then we're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we're gonna put this one on, okay? Then we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, we're gonna make a pair of earrings. And again, I'm probably going with my good old faithful pattern for the earrings too, but I'm trying to also follow the pattern of the other pieces too, to an extent. So yes, I do have a slightly different pattern with the bracelet from the necklace, but the way I feel is with the necklace, you don't have to have the big chunk, you know, the larger beads so close together because it's on your neck, which is a larger area than your wrist. So I just go ahead and just kind of space it out a little bit too. Plus you have to look at how many beads you have. And I used up all the rest of my 5mm. Used them all up. All up. Yep, used them all. All right, so here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's go ahead and add this on. Okay, and then finish it off with another 5. Then also too, what I want to do is, you know how confused and That was about all my little pattern. I want to make sure that it's correct. So I have 4 sets and I have 4 sets. Then I just kind of put them next to each other like so, and I can see that it's all pretty much the same. That's very cool. So again, yes, I'm gonna have quite a bit of waste. Will I save it? Yes. Do you wanna know why I'm gonna save it? I save it because when I use my magical crimpers, I like to use 3, I like to crimp with 3 strands. And so I do like having a little bit extra because then I'm not just cutting off wire to just have that 3rd strand. So I do like doing that. All right, so now what I want to do is I want to bring those closer together. Let's get a good grip on that. Okay. Then, different from a bracelet, I do want a little movement, but I do not want the wire showing. So I do have a little movement there. And there we go. Then what I do is, you see how it's bent and it's a little tight, and I don't want to crimp on top of my seed bead, right? So then what I do is I just know where it's at. So it's right there. I just open it up a little bit, and then now I have a little bit of extra space. And then what I do is I just go ahead and separate out, keep those little seed beads away, get that crimping tool on there, get the wires separated, and now it's you know, there's movement because it's spread out this way, but when I turn it, then it's going to be okay. And then it's still flowy. It still has a little bit of flow movement. Then let's go ahead and get it there. And also too, I'm not worrying about crimping on top of my seed beads. That's what's important. All right, so now let's go ahead and just give this a little bit of a trim. Make sure you're only cutting your this one here. And I can probably get my crimpers in there, but I just don't like the extra little nubby sticking out. There we go. All right. Now let's go ahead and get our jump ring on here to connect to our lobster clasp. And then we're done with this. And then we'll bring in our pair of earrings, and then we will finish off our little set. Oh my goodness, here we go. All right, now let's go ahead and bring in our lobster clasp, and then just make sure you get this all nice and closed up. Okay, got that all nice and closed up nicely. All right, and so now we have our little kind of choker, and it is pretty little. Let me see how far it goes around. Oh yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so that's gonna be perfect. And if you want, you can add another set of the little extension over here. There is some extra here, but I really like it. All right. And we do have waist, but I'm gonna keep that. I'm actually gonna keep this one too, because that's actually the perfect size for adding in a little bit of extra, because then it doesn't get in the way. All right, so let's put that off to the side. Then I'm gonna go ahead and pick up my seed beads. Have some left for another project. All right. Let's go ahead and bring in the earrings, and then we'll be done. I've got my beading wire right there. All right, so, oh, I didn't attach the air wire yet. So what I did was I just took a head pin, and this is a flat head pin. I was looking for a little bald one, but I think it ended up being okay. Then I have these little tiny, they're like 4 millimeter, they're tiara cast bead caps. Love them. And so I have 2 of those 5 millimeter rounds on there, as well as one little 2 millimeter to finish it off. And then I did a wrap loop up at the top. So I did not attach my ear wire yet. So let's go ahead and attach the ear wire to this one. And then we'll finish off the set with a demo on how I did it. So really, I mean, I think my last video was 25 minutes or so. Aren't those pretty? It's like 25 minutes. It took me a little bit to get those, to get this all threaded on, as well as figuring out what I was actually going to be doing. So it took a little bit, but I would say under an hour you can have this complete set. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is follow my other pattern. And so I'm going to put on just a little tiny, it's like a little scalloped bead cap. I love it. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and put on those the two 5mm. And then we're going to go ahead and add this last little tiny crystal. Okay, now here's where it gets tricky. So I usually like to have nice, tight, non-spinning earrings, but for this, since that bead is a crystal bead, I don't want to break it. And so I'm just very, very, very careful up at the top. These are very, very strong head pins. And so I just want to give myself enough room. So typically I'll go a little bit less than this, but like I said, give it some space. And I'm going to give it my 90-degree angle bend. That's not even 90 degrees, but let's give it a true 90-degree angle bend. There we go. I'm going to come in with my round nose pliers, and I'm going to come in about here. I try to come in about the same place every time. Okay. My barrels are facing up and down, so I'm just going to take that wire and form it around the top barrel. Then as I hold on, I'm just going to release a little bit and then go ahead and rotate my wrist. My palm is now facing the table, and because I need to get this back that way, but I want to also keep that nice loop. And then I'm just going to rotate a little bit to where my loop is centered. Now what I want to do is I'm going to come in and just give it a little bit of a lock in place. Also too, it allows me a little bit of room. And now I'm just going to go ahead very carefully and do 3 wraps. And I do not want, if you don't have enough room, do not force the 3rd wrap. I would take it apart and do it again. Okay, now let's go ahead and give it a little bit of a trim. Okay, then you can hold it with your fingers, but I'm not going to. I would rather just go ahead and hold it with my bent chain nose pliers. And it's kind of perfect because they're bent, and then you have a good position. It's not awkward. And then just take your tippy tip and lock that in. Now, when I look at this, that might not be as centered as I want. If that is the case, which I'm fine with that, but you just go ahead and add your loop back onto your round nose pliers and then just rotate a little, just a hair, because you can mess with the wrap too. All right, now let's just go ahead and open up our ear wire and then add our little component here. Get that all nice and closed off. Make sure that you can't stick your fingernail through there. And so now we have a pair of earrings. Let's get rid of the scrap. We have a necklace and we have a bracelet, all matching. So please give this video a huge thumbs up if you like it. Please do comment. I love to see what everybody has to say. Don't forget to subscribe. And again, check out all the links that I have in the description below, where I include the YouTube channel for Potomac Beads so that you can see everything that Allie and Anna put together, which is absolutely incredible. Also, too, be sure to follow them on social media so that you can not miss any of their amazing, amazing designs. Also, be sure to check out the subscription plans that they have available and see what best works for you, whether it be the treasure edition like this, where you get a bunch of different beads and assortments and little tools, and then you get to do whatever you like with them, or you can subscribe to the kit edition where there's 2 to 3 premium kits that have patterns included. You can still do whatever you want with them. However, though, if you just want to be able to follow someone else's design and technique, then that would be a good option for you too. And until next time, have a good one.